Board games, it's what we're talking about. Board games, I'm not gonna shout. Today we're talking about making things about the board games, which then bring awareness and reviews to the folk, because we think they're not a joke. Although we can always joke and laugh whilst we're having fun with this stuff. Making media about board games is what we're talking about. Making media about board games, I'm not gonna shout. Hello and good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are. It is episode 346 of Busy Beats and Board Game Blether. And today we are discussing motivations in media making with Anna Wassenberg, who's over there, and Antoinette Mason, who's all the way over there, and Matt Warwick, and also the person known as DutchYoda.
So, yeah, my real name cannot be used.
Not on the Twitch description, because Dikran Sema is, they're too Anglocentric and scared of, let's not get into that whole palaver again.
Not today.
And hello, Timmy. It is lovely to see you. Thank you for joining us. It is lovely, as always. And let's start off with a very quick introduction. If I could ask you to share a few lines about yourself, maybe going round clockwise. Starting with Yoda.
Starting with me. My real name is Dick Rensma. I'm 42 years old. I have a son. I'm divorced a long time ago. And I play and review board games.
And you are a streamer, you're a reviewer. Like, for the purposes of this conversation, I think it's worth mentioning that you do actually make some board game media.
I review board games in Dutch, and I stream in English and Dutch.
Okay, and Antoinette, if you could talk a wee bit about yourself and what you create.
Oh, okay. I'm really, really boring, so there isn't much to say about that. But I do really love board games. I've been reviewing them for a while. I make videos. I take photographs, and I generally talk about them online. And I really just, you ever get excited when you play something? You're like, you guys, you need to hear about this. I need to tell you. So that's basically what I do.
That's just fantastic. And you do, as you said, you do videos. You also are half of a podcast that you do correct. With, I'm blanking. Can you remind me? Oliver Kinner.
Yes.
That's the one. Mm-hmm. And we'll get into all of that in a wee bit. And penultimately, Anna Wassenberg.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anna. I've been reviewing for about 5 years, I guess, now. I do video reviews for the Dutch website Budget Spelen. I've been this for probably now 5 years, and that we also with DutchYoda together. We also do written reviews, and I'm also doing video reviews in English for the Dice Tower channel.
Mm-hmm.
And you sometimes work with your sister. You've done all sorts of lovely media. And that brings us in the end to Matt Warwick. I keep, am I getting your surname correct? I keep blanking on it.
No, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, at least you don't call me Warwick. People have called me that before in the past. No, Warwick is right. So I'm Matt. I am one half of the Offline Gamer, which is a podcast I started with a good friend of mine 6 years ago, and it's now also a YouTube channel and a website. outside of that, in my day job, I work in IT at a university and just enjoy playing games.
Fantastic. So that's the one thing that brings everyone together, isn't it? That there's just this big passion about games, about love of games and wanting to share that passion with everyone else. We'll get into what turns someone from a game lover into someone who wants to make things about games, whether that's, streaming as I'm doing, or Yoda's doing a lot of, or whether that's making edited videos as got a couple of people of, or whether that's doing some podcasts. And I know, unfortunately, Matt is going to have to leave us incredibly quickly.
Yes, unfortunately. Apologies for that.
But it is totally fair. Sorry. And I do want to get into the start and ask you about what's been happening recently. What have you been enjoying? So what are some of your recent highlights? Recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights. Recent highlights, playing games and other delights. Recent highlights. So the faces might have shuffled around, but let's just go in exactly the same order, except it will actually be totally different people. Clockwise, starting with Anna Wassenberg. What are some of your recent highlights?
Probably most of you don't know, but I'm in the process of becoming a physician, a doctor. And yesterday I finished my internship at the eye department. I don't know how you say eyes.
Optometry.
Optometry, exactly. And it was a lot of fun.
Matt.
Yeah, in the hospital. Yeah.
Congratulations, that's super awesome. And a quick hello to Rob Harper. It's lovely to have you join us. We're just sharing our recent highlights. Feel free to share your own. Matt.
Highlight today, which apart from this, obviously, Bez. Later on, well, after this, the reason I've got to go early is because I didn't realise I was double booked. But I'm going to my first social event in months today, which is a cheese tasting session in Birmingham. So that should be interesting. But other than that, a gaming highlight is I got sent a copy of this for review, which is on Kickstarter now, which I've really enjoyed. It's like a choose your own adventure book, but it has combat in it as well, which is pretty cool. So I'd recommend people check that out. Because I played that over Zoom with there you go, Stormweavers. I played that over not Zoom, Teams with Karen and Ray, and we enjoyed it a lot. So yeah, definitely recommend that.
Sounds fab. Yoda.
Let's see, so many good highlights. But biggest highlight this week was that I'm officially now a designer on Board Game Geek. So that was a big. I knew it was coming because I entered myself, of course, but still, it's a highlight. And my first game is on there as well, but I have to finish those pages. And my game is this game. It's a game about party planning, inviting people, and arranging venues. So I'm looking forward to that.
It's been really lovely seeing this come from a very abstract game that you submitted, that you developed as part of Idle Michael's convention. And it almost seems to be the typical way that if you love games, I don't know if you enjoy creating things, maybe you're going to eventually want to make your own game. And if you enjoy telling people about things, you're going to eventually want to make media. But Antoinette, have you got any similar highlights?
Ooh, highlights. This is really sad, but I made it through the week. I had a really, really busy week. Do you ever have one of those where there just seems to be another thing on top of another thing? And I'm like, it's Saturday, and this is the last thing I have to do this week. So it's like, yay! Of course, I've been playing some board games and stuff too, but I don't want to bore you with all of that. But yeah, it's been a good week, all in all. So I'm quite happy. That's my highlight that it happened.
I think if there's any crowd you're not going to bore with talk about board games, it's this crowd.
But do you not like hear about them so often that you're like, oh God, not another one? You know, do you never get burnt out on it? No?
Not
Is
yet.
that just me? Not yet.
Great conversation starter.
I think this is a really good point, and
Yeah.
let's actually turn it into one of our questionably quick questions. So, what I want to ask to start off is, what time is it, and where are you, in as much detail as you're willing to share? So here it is Glasgow, it is a sunny day, it is 10:11 a.m. Yoda.
It's very sunny over here as well, and I'm in Lelystad in the Netherlands. And I'm not going to put my full address again, like I did a couple of days ago.
So, what time is it? Is it 11:11?
It's 11:11, 1111.
Good stuff. Antoinette, we'll just keep going ground clockwise.
Okay, fair enough. Sorry, I was waiting for someone else to speak, and then I went, "Is it me?" Oh wait, it is. So it's 10:11 a.m. here in Cork, Ireland. It is relatively sunny outside, and I'm sitting in my office. This is normally where I film, which is why it looks kind of fancy. The rest of my house doesn't look this nice, so we're staying in here. And my husband is downstairs with my dogs, keeping them quiet while we record. So that's exactly where I am at.
I am in Warsaw in the West Midlands, UK, and it has just gone 10:12 a.m. And again, it is quite sunny, but I've got my blinds down because otherwise I have a lovely glare on my head. But I'm quite fortunate that the weather's nice today, so that's good.
Here it is 11:12 now. I'm in Leiden. I started my day watching RuPaul's Drag Race, the new episode. I do that every Saturday. Have to keep updated with one of my friends, which I unfortunately cannot always see. So that is a way for us every Saturday to do something together and watch the new episode, RuPaul's Drag Race. And it is sunny weather, like DutchYoda said. I'm also in the Netherlands. So probably after this, I already said to my boyfriend, we're going on a walk and enjoy the nice weather.
Very nice. And hello, Jamie. It is lovely to have you join us. Of course, if you have any questionably quick questions of your own, then please chuck them into the comments and I will get them to them in due course. I wanted to ask a few things that might help us get to know these people. So let's talk about games. What was the first game you reviewed? And can you talk a wee bit about what kind of review it was or what kind of thing you made about it? Yoda.
So I had to search because I didn't remember. And apparently it was Mintworks and Mint Delivery, both around the same time. It was my first written review and my first review overall, which I did for Budget Spelen. So, what can I tell about it? I really liked those pocket games, so I thought that would be a nice one to start with until I got my first review copy, which would be The Climbers, which I also liked.
It's always good when you're actually enjoying the game that you start off with. I mean, I wonder if this is going to be a common trend. Antoinette.
I also had to look back and check what this was, but when I started, I wrote reviews first. I thought that was the way I wanted to go. So my first review is a written review, and it's of Bunny Kingdoms from ILO Games. And at the time, it was kind of new and shiny, and I'd seen nothing like it before. And I thought it was really clever and really cute, and I thought it was worth like writing a review of. I had a major problem with the game that I didn't like, and so I wanted to go, here's all the good stuff, but here's the not so good stuff. And so that's where I started, Bunny Kingdoms.
Mine's interesting because it's not really a review, because I don't do many reviews. Most of the stuff I do is just either just briefly talking about them on podcasts or just do like unboxing videos on YouTube. So I've had a look. The first game I guess I talked about on the podcast would be the first game I played, which was Flux. Bez knows my history with Flux quite well, I would imagine, by this point. The first video I did on YouTube was a Kickstarter unboxing of a game called Dark Dealings, which is a game where you play the overlord of a castle, and the peasants in the nearby village are coming to overthrow it. So you have to like beat them away. And the first, I guess, sort of review / preview I did was of a Kickstarter a couple of years ago that someone sent me called Murder at Blood Mansion, which is just a small independent game as well. So, but yeah, I've not really done much in the way of actual formal reviews. So,
but yeah, it was all starting off with just a bit of chat with your friends, right?
Yeah.
And finally, Anna Wassenberg.
Yeah, I just looked what it was, because like DutchYoda, it's been a while. The first review that I did was a video review, and it was me reviewing a Pak die Zak, which roughly translates to get the sack, and it was this speed game. And it is in my old home. I still have my colored or different colored hair, so it's very weird to see it back. When I did it, it is what I do there. It is pretty much roughly the same as I review now, I guess. And yeah, it's fun to see back.
Well, that's really interesting to hear. Firstly, a quick bonjour, good morgen, and hello to Mike de Grief. It's lovely to see you as always. Hello, Happy Kid, all the way from London. It's lovely to see you. And if people want to take a wee moment to stretch, then Stream Elements is reminding us every 40 minutes roughly to do a wee bit of stretching. But yeah, I also started with a written review. It's just something that I posted directly onto Board Game Geek. I think it might have been with King Brick or with Zoom Kaboom. They were all shortly after my first trip to UK Games Expo in 2011. I just experienced all these amazing new games that I had to tell people about. I was like, oh my gosh, I've seen all these things. And if I were, Bez who couldn't go to UK Games Expo 2011, I would have wanted to know what Bez who could go to UK Games Expo 2011 had managed to play, and what Bez who could go, which was the real Bez, if you know what I mean. So I wonder if written reviews, because 3 out of the 5 of us started that way, if that's just maybe an easier way to get yourself started. It kind of feels like you start off maybe with comments, and then those comments can develop until you're actually giving something you like, something you don't like, and then it naturally grows into a review, whereas actually putting a video piece, that's more of a commitment. Do you know what I mean? But Matt, let's go with you next, and let's say, what's the last game you enjoyed?
Other than the one I've just talked about a few minutes ago, let me have a think. Last game I enjoyed. This is not going to be a surprise to anyone. I got my hands on some of the new Star Trek Flux games not long ago, so it's going to be those. So my two passions, Star Trek and Flux. What could be better? And for those who don't know, before I did my board game podcast, I used to host a Star Trek podcast. So yeah, ultra nerd.
And Matt has to unfortunately go off in about a minute. Shall we just call it here, or would you prefer to?
Yeah. I might as well shoot off. Sorry all,
okay.
But I will definitely be around for the full thing next time. And I thought it would be worth me just coming along to say hello to everyone anyway. So.
Well, it's been lovely to have you, and I look forward to actually being able to hear your thoughts next time.
Yeah, thank you, Bez.
Lots
Bye, Matt. Have a great day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
So let's talk about recent games played. Let's move on. Antoinette, you thought you would bore us, but tell us.
Okay, so my recent excitement in my house is something from Level 99 Games. If anyone's familiar with the kind of stuff they make, they're really over the top, they're completely excessive, and I think when you open the box, you just get really excited because there's so many bits and bobs. And they recently released a game called Bullet with a little heart at the end. It's part of the title, why we're not sure. But it is a dueling puzzle game in which you play as these cool lady characters, and it's a little bit kind of like Tetris, in which there are colored pieces dropping down onto your board, and you have to match sets of them so you can remove them. And when you take them from your board, you send them to your opponents. So it really feels like an arcade style game. You play it in real time, which is super stressful. But the first time I've not played it with a timer, I was like, this is too much. But it's really, really fun. And it's the first game ever I decided to try and play solo. I liked it so much. I was like, I think this will be better without another person interfering with all my puzzle solving. So yeah, I've been really excited by that. And I think there's nothing more fun than when you find a game and you think, oh, I really like that. And then when you get it, it's even better than you thought it was going to be. You're like, I was so right. This is right on the money. So that's what I've been playing this week and really enjoying. So that's Bullet Love from Level 99 Games. What about everyone else? What have you guys been playing?
Let's see, what was the last game I played? I think it was Red Rising. I played that solo for now. I have to wait till my son gets back to play it more multiplayer. I recently got Kemet, but yeah, that doesn't have a solo mode as far as I know. So I hope to play that tomorrow at my parents' house. My mother is always in to play a game with me, so even though sometimes it's too hard for her, but she'll try. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
And have you been enjoying Red Rising? That's the new one.
Yeah, I have been enjoying Red Rising a lot. Actually, I'm trying to up the difficulty in the solo mode. I beat the normal mode by a few points, and if I go one mode higher, I will lose by a lot. So enough challenge for me.
So,
yeah, the last game that I played was Lost Ruins of Arnak, or Arnak, and it is a game from CGE. It's a very big box with lots of things to discover, and it's all about the combination of deck building and worker placement, where actually the worker placement part you develop yourself in the game, different. So depending on what cards you draw or what kind of new worker placement places you draw, every game will be different and will have a different, of course, strategy to it. And it's, the theme is about you finding, I guess, the Lost Ruins of Arnak. It's a little bit of Indiana Jones meets fantasy. And I enjoyed the mashup a lot. It is nothing like groundbreakingly new in the game, but I like the combination of the different, the deck building part and the worker placement part. It flows nicely together.
That sounds fantastic. For myself, it would be, over the past week, people who've watched the show would know Rummy, playtesting a wee bit of Dinosaurs Love Spicy Pies, which I'm making with Rita Modal and Tiz Creel, and also a bit of Horrible Abominations, which is all these twisted creatures that you fit together. It's a new party game. I did an unboxing of it last Saturday, and wow, that unboxing took me a while because I just saw all these beautiful, well, all these mesmerizing creatures. Beautiful is definitely the wrong word, because they are called Horrible Abominations for a reason, like zombie faces and like little twisted bits. Some of them are quite fluffy and quite cute, but then just wanting to play with them, Zolan put them all together. It was great stuff. And we've got a question from the crowd, and hello, Stefan Positronic. It is lovely to have you join us, who wanted to ask, what is your fave ever game component? Antoinette, do you have something in mind that you could not be ashamed of saying?
Oh wow, okay, that's really tough off the top of my head because there are lots of games that have some really cool and unique things. But the first one that comes to mind, without having to think too deeply, is Paris, the game from Game Brewer, and it has its own Arc de Triomphe in the center of the board, which is pretty special, and it's entirely circular and made out of all of these beautiful components. Like, it is stunning. I don't think I'd ever seen anything like that come out of the box. So I think that's the first one that pops into my head. I'm sure there's loads more I'm forgetting, but there we go. I'll go with Paris.
I'm going to be. Who is up?
Okay, let's swap the order. Anna.
Sorry, yeah, I already saw the question, so I was already thinking which game. There are lots of games with cool components, but one that I wanted to show is Planet. And Planet is this game from Blue Orange Games. It came out a couple of years ago. It's a very light game, but the cool thing is that you make your own little planet, and it has these magnetic pieces, and you put them on like this. And then you make these, different terrains, so different kinds of animals will go to your planet. And it's just so visual and cool, and it works very well. And everyone is just making their own little like puzzle box. It's a very cool component. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I really enjoyed seeing this. And you had something that you wanted to bring to the table.
Well, nothing to show, just to mention. I'm going to be a little kid, and I like the foam guns in Cash Guns.
Agreed.
If I had to pick one off the top of my head, you know what? I'm going to go with, talking about Blue Orange Games, I will go with the little trees in photosynthesis. Because, they're quite simple, they slot together, and are not using resources, they're just using bits of cardboard, so it's not damaging. And I love the fact that in this game, it says everything's recycled, but it's still fairly sturdy, which is really nice, but it's just so effective having this 3D trees, and then the size of the trees is really visible. It works with the whole notion of which trees are casting other trees in shade, so there's an actual reason for them to be fancy, if you know what I mean. And of course, with Sabrina Miramon's artwork, it just looks luscious. Jamie suggests that the best components might be the Pteranodon in the Lost Valley of the Dinosaurs. Heard about that, never played it. Has anyone else played this one?
No, I'm going to look it up now because I want to see cool stuff.
It is a very old thing, and Mike the Grief mentions the birdhouse, the dice tower in Wingspan. And let's talk about how you're reviewing. So firstly, let's chuck these two questions together. How long have you been reviewing, and what has become your medium of choice? Sorry, Antoinette, you're...
I love having to go first. Okay, so I think I've been reviewing for just a little bit over 3 years now. I can't believe it's that long. I actually had to look it up and was like, no way, it's that long. But apparently it is. And the majority of my reviewing is done through videos. My videos are kind of based around the 5 things you need to know about X game. I'm a big fan of condensing information into short amounts of time. And the reason, I suppose, why I've chosen video, I guess, over anything else, I think games are such a visual medium. I think you kind of need to see them. And not only that, but I think if someone's telling you about a game, I really want to see them be excited about it. I want to, gauge their reactions. I want them to be like, oh my God, you have to see this. This is so cool. Or I didn't really like this. I think there's something personable about telling someone your experience with a game. You know what I mean? It's coming from an individual. And while I think kind of writing and the written element has a completely different kind of way of approaching it, and that you get very intimate with authors, I think, when they write, I do think there's something to be said for kind of being able to see somebody, see the components and things like that. So hence why I make videos despite not liking making videos at all. It works, I think. So yeah.
And Yoda, same question to you. how long have you been reviewing? What are your mediums of choice? I know you do streaming. We've already touched upon these questions, but
Yeah,
if you could mention.
well, streaming is not. I don't review while streaming, so that's not something I should consider. But I'm been reviewing over 2.5 years now, and I started with written reviews, and just I think a year ago I started doing reviews on YouTube, and I prefer YouTube somehow, because if I write something, I make so many grammar and spelling errors, which I won't make well talking to a camera. So that's why I prefer video reviews.
So maybe spoken errors are a little bit less embarrassing than written mistakes.
Yeah, because it's who I am, and it makes more sense while I'm talking. And if you read it, then it doesn't make sense.
Interesting. I mean, I'm not sure if I 100% agree with that, but I can definitely understand that point of view. Might be something I don't know how other people feel about. Anna and Antoinette, do you feel like there's a sense that when you're writing down something, meaning can be lost in that way?
Because of your grammar mistakes, you mean?
I think that's what Yoda is saying.
What I mean is that while I'm talking on YouTube, it makes more sense even if I make a small grammar issue. But
it's more of a personality thing then.
Yeah, it's more the personality thing, and you don't see that personality while you're reading something, unless you really know me. Then you know why I wrote it down like that.
Yeah, I also think when you talk in video, it's just a smaller, if you make a mistake, it's a smaller part of the entire production. And so, people aren't going to focus in on you said that word slightly incorrectly because you're already continuing on and saying something else. Whereas you can pour over in detail over text in a way that it isn't as, as fun in video. Video is just like a whole thing together. So I think you can get away with all sorts of stuff, whether, English is your first language or not. I know I make mistakes all sorts of the time, and video is fantastic in a way for letting that just happen and having people have a laugh with you when you do mess up, and just carry on anyway.
Yeah,
it's definitely interesting because Mark Rosewater does this twice weekly podcast, and someone actually does transcripts of all of these perfectly, including all the half-spoken words and all the redactions. And when you read through that, it's like, wow, this doesn't really make... So maybe I can totally understand what you mean. There's definitely a sense of, you get a sense of the intonation, and that helps deliver some sort of meaning. I know.
For me, another point I do think is important for the this video is that because your personality is more out there, there's more judging, so it's not entirely that it is more forgiving. I think, at least for me, it was not. But maybe it was also because when I started doing it was like 5 years ago. I was 22, so I was still pretty young. And I also think the Dice Tower audience was not really used to a young, bubbly female with a lot of personality. So I got a lot of just mean comments, and that was something that did get to me. So I think that is a very important difference between writing things down, where you're less likely to be subjected to that kind of comments that are not really about what you're talking about, but how you're presenting it, I guess. And that was something that I had to get over, I guess, or I had to be more accepting towards myself also, and not be harsh on myself. because also, of course, I was not English, so you also got like comments about my accent, and that was sometimes a little bit damaging, to be sure. Yeah, and still is sometimes, because you still I get more negative hate, but that's also because you're female, I guess. But I found it, when I started, I found it very important. That's why I started also doing video reviews, to have more diversity and show also young girls that it's okay to play games, and you don't have to be like totally into all of the nerd stuff. I am totally into the nerd stuff, don't get me wrong. I also play video games and all that kind of stuff. But you can also, you know, be bubbly and stuff like that, and be totally yourself, and play board games.
It's really interesting, the notion of representation within the board game media. And yes, I think it's worth noting, you know, Girls Game Shelf, when they started, which was by Kiki, and then Anna Maria Jackson Phillips kind of took over. But back then it was all about like let's try and get more people into the core. But as time has gone on, we have had more people like Board Game Blitz, like Arturn, like yourself, Anna, and yourself, Antoinette, and, you know, myself, you know, kind of showing that, hey, anyone can do it. And yeah, and I think that's probably worth tackling as its own topic down the line, but it's really worth bringing this up. And hello, Alex, it is lovely to see you. Hello, Capitano, I appreciate you. And I'm going to answer these two questions. Let's go through them quickly, and then we'll get to the main topic, which I would like to talk about the motivations. And let's frame all the questions as motivations if we can. Oh, I just realized that I never actually answered the how long have I been reviewing, what's my mediums of choice. I did a tiny bit of things in 2011, but for me, reviewing is a weird thing. It's just a question of telling other people about what I think, right? And if I'm already writing a paragraph about it, well, I might as well write 2 paragraphs, at which point, well, is that already a review? And definitely when you write really long comments, that blurs the line. But in terms of officially making stuff, I would say that I'm very new to it, and it's been pretty much since lockdown, March 2020, that I've really gotten into streaming. And the thing I love about streaming is that it's kind of like this performance art. There's the adrenaline, there's the excitement, and then you've got the crowd. You've got the people in the crowd saying, okay, we want to hear this question. You've got people like Xate popping in, which is totally lovely, and having this validation instantly. Whereas if you put something on YouTube, yes, you get the comments, and that's lovely, but it's less immediate, you know what I mean? And I think it's because of having this social connection is really what drew me into it. Like if I'm writing a review, it's because I want to tell other people about it. And so that's why for me, yeah, streaming is definitely my medium of choice. And yes, Xate totally doesn't pop in for sure. But anyway, Mike the Grief, and I'm going to change the order slightly. Here we go. So Mike the Grief, which instruments do you use or need for making a nice review video? Phone, camera, Anna?
Very, very good question. I think nowadays your phone is your friend, your mobile phone, because that way you can just experience in a very easy way if making a review video is something for you. And the quality of a phone camera is actually that good that if you want to step it up, you have to already pay a lot of money to make it better than a camera you would buy for making videos, because most of the cameras are more made for making photos and not especially for making videos. So if you really want to get that to that next level, you have to already invest like 500 plus euros to make it worthwhile. So phone for your camera, and for sound, I think also phone. I don't know. I now use, of course, different things, of course. So now I am using Logitech HD 1080p camera. That's what I also started with, actually. That was my first camera that I still use for things like this. My Blue Yeti. And I have one light now here that is shining here. So my face, I will show the difference. When I do it like this, now my face is not shine. So when I put it like this now, and it's just a daylight that I bought for 10
Sorry,
euros.
let me make you big so people can see a bit better with the light.
Oh, yeah, with the light. So this is a light that I bought in the Aldi Lidl supermarket for 10 euros. And I use it for my crafting, but I also sometimes use it as a light and to see the difference. So have it like this. My whole face is black on that side. And when I put it to the wall, so I let it shine on the wall that is here next to me, and you can see that now this part of my face has light. So that is a very easy way to just make your shot look a little bit nicer. Phone for the sound and for the camera, and just one very basic light. That is an arts and craft light. Yeah. And then you just can go and do your thing.
Antoinette, what do you think is the bare minimum? Because I think what Anna's saying is that, yes, you can spend lots of money on all the tip-top equipment, but if you've got a smartphone, you've kind of got enough to just get started anyway.
Yeah, I definitely don't recommend, if you're just starting out, going out and buying a camera, because that's the way I did it, and it was a really, really bad plan. What you kind of want to do is, I agree, use your phone, use the stuff you have, and figure out how well it works, or what you wish it would do, so that if you do save up maybe to get a camera later, you'd be like, well, I wish it had a flip out screen, or I wish I could hook my microphone up to it, or whatever it is. Make a list of the things you want your camera to do later while you're handling just your phone. I think the thing people don't talk about enough is light. I have had the same 2 soft boxes I bought from Amazon when I started for, I think they were like 20-30 bucks. I've had them this whole time, and they make everything look better. I don't know how light does it, but it does. It just makes you look better, your game look better, everything. And of course, when people can see everything better, it's even better as well. Audio, I think, is really important, because people hear as much as they see. So you can get really cheap microphones to go with your mobile phone. I love the little clip-on mics, the lavalier mics. I think they're really, really helpful, because and I'm trying to think what else is super important. Yeah, light, sound, and don't spend too much money till you feel like this is something you're really going to do, or you want to take a step up for. Don't invest anything. Use what you've got first, and then you'll learn enough that you'll go, okay, maybe you can progress later. So yeah, that's what they do. Like, I record with a DSLR camera, and it was one of the first investments I made, and it was the best investment I made, because the jump in quality straight away from going kind of to like the little camera I had to the big one was huge. But of course, there's a lot of learning and things to be done with that, and also, you have to add in how to edit your videos and all these kind of things. But equipment wise, start simple. Don't spend a ton of money, and then afterwards, once you know what you're up to.
Just to chime in on Antoinette, because I heard her say the flip thing. So that is when I got my first camera, the exact thing that I wanted. This is a Canon 700G, for people that want to know. And so it has this flip thing. So when I put it on, just get this off so people can see. I can see myself here. So you know who you're talking to. So that is perfect. And also, Antoinette, I heard you talk about softboxes. That is also something I got later. That's this one. This is a newer one that can also be with batteries. And with that, it is also very important that you have brightness, that you can scale the brightness up and down, and you can also change the color of the lighting. So if you want to get lights, be mindful of that. If you want to have a good light, if you want to get your lighting, if you want to invest in that, make sure that at least that is something you can dial up and down, the brightness and the color of the light.
And Yoda, do you have anything to add on all the fantastic advice already?
No, I also started with my phone. Later on, I added a separate mic, so I recorded those separately. And I still don't have a professional camera. I still use my phone to record. So, I did get some softboxes, not the fancy one that Anna has. I just basically turn it on or off. But yeah, they make a big difference because I use daylight, and I have daylight until 1 p.m. and then it will slowly disappear. And I did my recordings mostly in the evening when I was done working. So yeah, I could do most of the recording during spring and summertime, but now I can do them all the time if I want to.
I think one more important thing though that Antoinette mentioned is the editing software, because that is a whole other hole you can sink into, which can cause lots of frustrations. Because when you start making videos, you have to edit them, and that is just a very big part that most people don't realize, because that is where most of your time is probably gonna go. Also, because of course making the video, which is fun, but editing also has to happen. So what I still use, I am trying to switch to something because I'm at this point that I'm trying to get it a little bit more professional looking. What I've been using until now still, iMovie. And iMovie is perfect. If you have a MacBook or anything like that, Apple products, just use iMovie. If you don't have a MacBook, don't get it, especially for iMovie. Then get something else. Maybe Antoinette knows something that is not iMovie that is cheap. But just don't invest unless you know how to use it in something like Premiere or Final Cut Pro at the beginning, because it is a whole nother study to know what you're doing in those kind of programs, and it's very professional and very difficult. So get some editing software that will do what you want, and then later on, like also Antoinette said, if you know what kind of things you want to have different, take a look at what kind of program can provide that for you, where you can want to make that difference.
And yeah, I would agree with what Alex has heard here, that if you've got slightly fuzzy audio, that's going to be a lot more painful than slightly fuzzy video. Although it's difficult because, of course, showing the board games might be a visual medium, but I've seen people who've just got to podcast, but then still pictures zooming across, which does actually work okay. And hello, Idol Michael, it is lovely to see you. And talking about equipment, of course, I'm going to echo what everyone else has said about just starting off with what you've got. I'm trying to actually get this into frame. So this is a mic stand. So this bit is where a microphone might go. I don't have a microphone, it's just a mic stand. And then this bit here is a selfie stick. So my friend Chris attached them with these metal things, if you can see. And I've got this headphone dangling from it, just so that I can plug in it into the phone so that it no longer makes any noise. But yeah, I started off just with the inbuilt microphone, with the inbuilt camera of the laptop. That works fine for streaming, but then having that as an overhead camera, that's what allows me to, okay, now you can see things from different points of view, and now I can do the playthrough and I can show what's on the table, which is a bit more interesting. And I've not spent lots of money on anything. I mean, specifically, having said that, I did spend a lot of money on the laptop. It's an expensive laptop that I bought for unrelated reasons, but for the purpose of doing this, it's not like went, oh, I've got to go out and buy stuff. And I think that's the key thing. We did have one other question, from the audience, Capitano, I think that this question is going to about how we deal with reviewing games we don't like. I think this will directly correlate with who is our audience, who do we prioritize. So it feels like I'm going to start talking about motivations, and hopefully we can answer this question over the course of the next hour as part of that. But it might be, again, something that deserves its own topic, and we get onto it very briefly, because it's just one of those things of who do you prioritize, your audience, the person. But let's start off and ask, why did you start making media about board games? So, going ground.
Oh, why did I start? Well, I was watching a lot of Dice Tower and Watch It Played, and I thought, well, we could use more Dutch versions of those. So I wanted to do that, and somehow I held it off for a long time. And then Anna put a message on BGG that Budget Speler looked for reviewers. So I sent in the most horrible review ever. And she
What was
still...
it about? Because I still know. Was it that baseball game?
Yeah, that was that baseball game.
Because that was my text that I put on Board Game Geek. Yeah.
I was trying to be as gender neutral as possible and still explain every little rule. So yeah, it was horrible. But still, I joined the team, and I got better at it. And then I noticed how many Dutch reviewers there are. So I was really wrong about that. So that was my motivation to bring gaming to the Dutch people, because in my close environment there were not many gamers.
And it sounds like if you'd known how many Dutch people there were, you might have never started. And by the way, Michael says, I need to know which baseball game it was.
It was bottom of the ninth.
Okay, and is it right that if you'd known how many Dutch reviewers there were, you wouldn't have bothered?
I might have not jumped the gun, yeah. I might have still be doing other stuff, just playing.
But Anna, what was your original motivation?
So I already touched on it a little bit, but one of my main also motivations was that I wanted to show that the diversity of people that play board games, so that was very important for me. I know, especially with the Dice Tower part, I had already been thinking about sending them an email and just be like, "Hi, I'm Anna. I'm fun. Can I do stuff for you guys?" And then Tom Vessel actually put a message out that he wanted more female contributors. And then I was just, okay, I'm just going to do it. And then I started appearing on Board Game Blender and doing my own little thing. So I think that was my main motivation. I love, because the field that I'm in is very competitive, the hospitals and physicians in general. And it's not that creative. And I do have that creative side in me. And I love cultivating that. And this was something where I could do that.
That makes a lot of sense. And I like how Alex puts it. You're being the thing you want to be. See, like, if you want there to be diversity, then get stuck in and try to make some stuff. And so, was that part of your thought process at all, Antoinette?
No. So I come from a little bit of a different place, I think, than most people. So it's a little bit personal, but anyway, it's still my origin story, so we'll stick with it. And this is the fact that my creating board game content came out of me being kind of rather mentally unwell. I've been doing quite well in my life, and then I had a huge breakdown, and I wasn't able to do anything or go anywhere. And board games was one of the few things that kind of brought me a bit of joy. And I just, my husband encouraged me. He's like, you should write a review about this, because I'd been studying philosophy in the local university. I'd been working on a PhD, and I had done a lot of writing and explaining and lecturing. And he thought you could explain games really well. So I started out by writing something, and he liked it so much. He's like, you should go the whole way. You should make the video. And I was very anxious about it. I still am, actually. I've still not gotten over the nerves of recording. But it gave me a purpose. So I never made stuff in the hope that, you know, I was trying to spread a message or anything. I wanted to make something useful, and that if people liked it, all the more. But really, this was about me kind of giving my kind of life structure and having a project of sorts. And how it's grown beyond that has been absolutely crazy. I never thought the board game world would be so nice. And how everything has unfolded has been really, really amazing. So like my ethos hasn't changed. Board games are still the reason I get out of bed in the morning and I get stuff done. And I still enjoy them too. And I love being able to share them with people. So I feel kind of blessed to be able to do actually what I do. And so, yeah, so that's why I'm here, partially because I like games and partially because it's good for my brain. So, yeah, that's me.
I think I share a lot of the same sentiments as you, Antoinette. And, you know, we've done stuff together as, you know, with me as a publisher, designer, and you as a reviewer. And, you know, obviously, like, I'm not going to talk about everyone's bias that I've got because that kind of takes too long. There's this whole tangled, messy kind of thing of relationships. Do you know what I mean? With everyone in the board game world, it is a small community. As Capitano75 mentioned earlier on in the chat. I think that for me, when I look at the three things that I've basically done, I did a bunch of written reviews, and that was just me saying, hey, this is stuff that I think maybe other people would be interested in reading it. And then I did podcasts for a while. Well, it was more of an internet radio show. It was never put on to any podcast catcher, although I'm going to maybe download them off Mixcloud and then start uploading them as a podcast at some point in the future, even though there'll be ridiculously out of date and some of my own thoughts might have changed. So, but that was me taking inspiration from Mark Rosewatzer, who just records and then stops and then that's it. So it's just kind of, okay, I'm going to talk through my own things. And it's a chance to explore these ideas myself. And actually, I found that when I was writing about UK Games Expo, yes, it was maybe from a slightly different perspective of most people wanting to go there, but it was a lot of, I'm sure that some other people would have been interested in that. And I'm sure that some other people, it's allowed me to ponder my own thoughts and think, okay, was this a successful show as a publisher? Would I go again to Essen? Would I go again to Bastion as a punter, as someone who just loves games? And kind of thinking through your own thoughts, it's an opportunity for me to talk through things out loud. And then when the pandemic came and then I stopped doing that and I started streaming, that was 100% similar to you, just about saying, okay, let me try and do something to get me out of bed in the morning, because I was previously, I am immensely blessed in that Yogi gives me enough of an income that I can afford to pay my rent. Not much more, but at least I can afford to do that. But then it means that I'm also, when I don't have like a 9-to-5 job, I don't have something that I have to be out of bed for. So it's like, okay, let me try and pick a time that this was a time that I could get out of bed for. And that's been such a lovely thing that I've got a little routine. I get out of bed. I make sure that I have a wee walk each morning this year. Every day this year that I've streamed, I have gone for a walk before my stream. So on the 5 days when I didn't stream, I might not have gone for the walk. And some of those days I just didn't get out of the house at all, which is maybe not the healthiest thing. But it becomes part of a thing. It becomes part of a social contact. And that for me is the biggest motivation of all. And that's the reason why I continue to do it. And this is a really messy question. And let's talk a wee bit about changed motivations. And like I said, my motivation is still currently to get out of bed, to have an opportunity to have this social contact. But what are your motivations? I mean, DutchYoda, you must have kind of changed things a wee bit. So yeah, how has your motivation changed?
Well, good one. I don't think it has really changed that much, actually. I still want to talk about games, even though there are so many out there. There aren't that much video reviewers, Dutch video reviewers. So most of it is done with Instagram and maybe a Facebook post here and there. But there aren't many video reviewers, so I'll still keep doing that. And it also has a little bit of a personal thing. I used to have a lot of stage fright, and I thought, well, putting myself in front of the camera might fix it. So I tried that, and it helped. So yeah, that's why I will still keep doing it. I want to do English ones as well, but I'm just too busy to get that done.
Well, it feels like it's all about being the change that you want to be. Like, and yeah. Anna, is that still what you're trying to do? Show the representation, show the Dutch crowd for the awesome, the Netherlander crowd, I should say.
I guess, but you know, I am now at that point. Actually, now that I'm a little bit in this transition moment, because for as young as I am, I'm 27 now. I'm at that point already now that, you know, I do videos for the Dice Tower. I have my own website together with Dick, DutchYoda. That is growing pretty rapidly, and we're now one of the biggest websites in the Netherlands. And I'm also since this year part of the Dutch Game Awards committee, the jury for that. So, and then with that last one, it did feel like I was now like kind of embraced also by not the in crowd, but like the old guard, I guess. I don't know how you say this in English, but
no, I think old guard is correct. The people who've been around for ages, like
that's what I mean.
Top Castle and
yeah, exactly. And so now I'm at this point. Okay, why am I making content? What is fun? And the funny thing is, my boyfriend asked me this question like 5 weeks ago. Like, Anna, why are you doing what you're doing? And it is something. It is not something that you're always thinking about, I guess. You're just doing it. So it was a very interesting question for me, and because he also asked, like, what are still your goals with what you're doing? And then I also just realized I'm doing this because I find it fun. And that was a key word for me, because then I could think about, okay, what are the things that are less fun for me? Because also for me, like I said, I have a pretty busy life. So it's very important to put my energy where I get the most out of it, I guess. And it gives me the most fun back. So I've now, together with my boyfriend, because he wanted to help me, like the darling he is, on making those goals that I have do come true. So we've bought all this new equipment to be able to stream. And last weekend we streamed for the first time with my sister. We played King Domino. Because playing games, that's in the end, that's what it's all about, you know, having fun. And with that kind of format, I did not have to, it was not like it is less strict, you know, you can just have fun with the audience, play a game. So that was, I think, a new thing in finding not necessarily my motivation, but finding, I guess, new motivation for the future.
Yeah, that's really important to keep capturing the fun. And I think what you say about it being all about the people, that's 100% true. Antoinette, has your motivation changed? It sounds like it's always been there at the foreground.
I think mine has changed a little bit in the sense that a lot of my stuff, I suppose, I feel like obligated to do. I think you and I talked about obligations before, Bez, but I never want to let somebody down. And I find that if I have a game that somebody has very kindly sent me that I'm working on, I'll do absolutely everything in my power to make it the best I can make it and make sure everything's out on time, regardless of how kind of things in my own life are going. And that's its own thing. But I feel very motivated, I think now more so than before, about doing someone's game or the best service I can give it, and that's really what I focus on now. Like, of course, there's still the same motivation there. If this is the thing that I do, I've always treated my reviewing kind of like a job for me, and I have set hours and all that kind of stuff that I do, even though it's completely unnecessary. And I could just stop if I wanted at a moment's notice. But I love that feeling of working on someone else's baby, that kind of thing, something that somebody else loved and showing it at its best. And I'm forever trying to find new, better and easier ways to do that. I just wish I had more energy to do more of that kind of stuff. But I love that. I thrive on the kind of the pressure of, do this good and do it well. So yeah, that's part of what keeps me going, or what I want to do. I want to show off the games the best I can.
I think that's wanting to share these things and wanting to be involved in some way, I think has to be a motivation for pretty much everyone, that there is just this big passion for this medium. And if games are worthy of respect and critical analysis, I guess for me, I've still kept all those same motivations, that for sure it's having this connection with the people watching, having this connection with the people that I talk to. But even if it's just me, let's say one day that there's no one really engaging with anything, but it's me talking about, sure, that would disappoint me slightly if I was chatting and literally no one turned up, but chatting through what I think of a game, what I think of this part, what I don't think of this part, having that critical analysis, giving myself the space to do that. Because I think that, like a game like My City, I think that's a fairly light game, ostensibly, but you can talk about it for a couple of hours and really drill down into what's going on in there. And Kawaii, that I did a review of that, the video was maybe 1 hour, but the review parts was maybe 40 minutes. And that's a really light game. And people might think, oh, there's not much going on there. But even within a light party game, there is so much going on. And trying to analyze. And, I like to believe that I would be able to make something of value, that I help to create something of value. And I guess that's the thing that gets me out of bed. But that it's making something of value that brings people around. So it's kind of all intertwined. And that brings us ourselves, our audience, our partners, publishers. How much do we prioritize other people? And this leads on to the question of, if there's a game that we don't enjoy, are we going to talk about it? Because for me, I think it has to be in this order. I think that it has to be myself first, and then, audience and partners. It depends what you mean by partners, but I think that in this situation, if I'm making a video with 3 other people on camera and we're talking about motivations in making media, just hypothetically, if I were to do that, I think that the enjoyment level of DutchYoda and Antoinette would have to be prioritized to some degree, almost equal, if not arguably higher than the comforts of the audience, but at the same time, there is some sort of journalistic desire for truth. If someone comes onto my show and says, hey, this is the way that things are, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, is that the way that things are? I think that all these things have to be challenged, but I think that comes not from a sense of just your audience, but it's also a sense of being true to yourself and being true to your own values and knowing what you prioritize. Because if I don't believe that something is so, and then it's said on the show, then, but that is my vague answer for my own question. But Anna, how do you prioritize these things?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and I'm what Antoinette earlier said about feeling obligated to make a nice product, nice something for the trust, actually, because that's how I feel when a publisher sends me their game or their product, which is kind of their baby. It's the trust they put in you to make a good unbiased opinion, I guess, in case of a review, a nice product about it, what you put out there. So I feel that I've always felt that obligation a lot. So I also struggled with being sent games, because if I get a game, I want to do it justice. And definitely when you see, different YouTube channels that get all of these free games, it can be a little bit that you're like, why? It's just this weird kind of jealousy thing, I guess, where you're like, I would want to be less bothered by putting out a good product and getting more games because they get all of these free games. But at the same time, you're like, no, I find this a very good value to have, that you want to put out a good product for them. To a couple of years ago, I had to play games also that I didn't enjoy that much. So I noticed that that was not good for my mental health. So at that time, I started to be very conscious and mindful of what games I get sent as free copies, to make sure that I don't feel that obligation. Because also, what a very important thing with reviewing is, especially with board games, which is different from when you would be reviewing movies or books, is that you have to play it multiple times. And you're not doing that by yourself, you're doing that with other people. So if you're playing a game which is not enjoyable, also for you and also for the other people, and you have to play it again at a lower player count or with more people, because that's also something that I find important, again, to do it justice, you're just, I guess, wasting a lot of energy, or feeling like you're wasting energy on like negative energy, and then you still have to make the whole video and you have to edit it. I think written, then it's easier. And I'm also a person, when I don't enjoy it, I do want to make sure that I get the reasons across why I don't enjoy it. That's something also I think that for me is very important when I do a review. You have my opinion and you have reasons for it. And I find it very important to get a distinction between those two things. That, okay, maybe I don't enjoy this, but these are the reasons why I don't enjoy it. And those reasons can be totally different for you within the same game. So when I do negative reviews. I've done them. And it can be very hard because sometimes I get messages from the designer that can be very personal about why he did not enjoy it. And that just gives a lot of stress. So that is why I, myself, am very peculiar and particular about the games that I get sent. So that for multiple reasons. One, that I can somewhat predict based on my taste levels and what I like or my enjoyment level, if I'm going to enjoy the game. because I am a person that will take the time and put in the time and effort to play it and make a video about it. And also for, I guess, the publisher to kind of be more sure that it is going to be a positive review. And of course, this is an ethical thing, because in a way you are calling or getting more positive reviews out there, I guess, about a game, which can be seen as unethical. I think I'm interested to hear what your opinions are about that. But for me, it's very important for my mental health as well. And I also think for the publisher, if I don't think I'm going to enjoy it, I want to be upfront about that. And, don't send me this review copy, send it to someone else that can enjoy it a lot more and can do your product more justice. But when I do get it and when I'm not enjoying it, I will be upfront and frank about that.
Well, that makes lots of sense. You have to prioritize yourself. If you are doing it primarily as a hobby, if you are doing it primarily as, yes, you want to be the change that you would like to see, but you have to be kind to yourself. And I think this is the important thing. Any more thoughts, Yoda?
Not really. I think Anna said most of it. I haven't done that many reviews of games I didn't like. There was one game I almost physically hated because it was so bad, in my opinion.
Happy Salmon?
Not even Happy Salmon. I think it's called
Wait,
Pechvogel.
you don't like you hate Happy Salmon?
It's not my
I
kind
know,
of game.
Bess. How could he? How could he?
It's not. I understand why people enjoy it. It's not my type
That's
of
the
game.
important thing. That's the important thing. As long as you're not saying it's a bad game, if you say it's not for me, I can totally get behind that.
Yeah, but there was one game that was almost all black. It's called Pechvogel. It was about ravens, and mostly it's just a Yahtzee combination and hoping to get the most points. And yeah, no, I could not see why it would be appealing, especially because it was all black. It didn't look pretty on the table as well. So, but yeah, I tried to find a reason why you would be able to like the game, and that was about 3 sentences in a whole review. So yeah, I tried to also find games that I think I like. Sometimes I'm disappointed. You don't know for sure, of course, but yeah, I try to be positive about the game. So I try to get games that I think I will like. And I will never lie to say a game is good, even though I didn't like it, because I don't think it's really a mental thing. It's just I don't like to lie, period. So why lie about a game?
For sure, you need to keep that integrity. You can find something nice to say, but if you can only say one sentence, so be it.
Yeah.
Or if the best thing I can say about a game is, well, the cards stay together, then it's.
I wouldn't go that far.
I am kind of making a ridiculous, stretch. I'm exaggerating for the people. You know what I mean?
They tried.
Right. Yeah, the last one of the last video reviews I did, it was a game that I didn't like. It was supposed to be a party game, and we approached it really serious because the goal of the game is to survive on an island. And after that comes the party aspect, because if there is not enough food or there is not enough water, then somebody needs to die, and you need to vote somebody off the island. And
so semi-co-op, I guess.
Yeah, it's semi-co-op, and it has special abilities. So somebody could play a card that could shoot somebody, and Yeah, we didn't like it. It's like, yeah, the voting part, we understand that's the core of the game, but that first part, you know you're not going to make it. So why put it in there? It was mathematically impossible to get all of the island. So why make that if you're forcing everybody off the island anyway?
Yeah, that might have been very badly considered and badly thought out. But yeah, we've got who should we? I like to kind of the most backhanded compliments ever. I actually wrote that in a review of a very bad Doctor Who game, and that was the most positive thing I could say, says Michael. Of all the games that are currently in print, this is definitely one of them. So apparently that is a real extract from a review.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, Doctor Who games, man. Anyway, they might not all be bad. I'm not saying that they are all bad, but some of them are. Anyway, Antoinette, we've started talking about bad games, so let's talk about that before we go back to the questions that I've got scrolling at the bottom.
Okay, so actually one of the hardest things I've had to learn about reviewing board games is saying no to really nice people. And not because their games aren't great or that they aren't wonderful. It's just they won't be fun for me to play. And if they're not fun for me to play, I'm not going to be able to show them as fun to other people to play. And I think that's so hard. I used to say yes to everything, even things I was uncertain about. And it was just a waste kind of almost of everybody's time. So as Anna was saying, I'm very careful about what games I will willingly accept to play. I want them to be at least something I think I will enjoy. And most importantly, my games group of two, me and my husband, will enjoy playing, because otherwise, kind of what is the point? And if I go back to that idea of you want to show the game off well, I think you want to have at least been able to engage with it. When it comes to negative reviews, if I haven't found one thing, redeeming feature about the game, I will tell the publisher that and say, hey, maybe you'd be better giving this to someone else. This clearly isn't for me. There are plenty of games I've reviewed where I didn't particularly enjoy the game myself, but I thought other people would. I was like, this is good, just not for me. And some I've reviewed where I felt like there was a fatal flaw in the game, but there were lots of redeeming qualities. And reviews like that always give me nerves. I think when you put them out and you're waiting for the designer to watch it and you're like, please don't take this the wrong way. You had loads of good things. And sometimes it's worked out actually really, really well. Oddly enough, I've had designers thank me for the negative review for being honest, which I thought was crazy. But they were like, the reason you didn't like it is the reason everyone else does. And I was like, okay, that's great. I've never not gone with my gut, and I've never not said what I believe, because that's why people watch me. What's the point if I'm just going to tell you everything is sunshine and roses? Because the things that I don't like, you might like. So I do my best to show you everything I spotted in the game that I thought was good or bad, and then you can make up your mind if that's something you like. Like my review of Merv, the Silk Road, I didn't like that game at all. I felt it was too tight. Everything was too close together. There wasn't enough time to do everything. But that's the reason everyone else loves it. So it's that kind of funny balance. So I always try to get a game, that I like. If I'll say the things I don't like, because what's the point in reviewing it otherwise? I think that's important for not just me as a player, but for the people who tune in to see what I say about a game and to trust what I say. And for publishers too. I don't think they necessarily want hundreds of super positive reviews. I think they want reviews that will inform people that want to buy their game. So I think there's a little chain of command there somewhere. Good game's good.
I mean, for sure, it's weird, like you talk about the chain of command, and that shouldn't be necessarily the way it is. And Idle Michael, who I'm sure not every review of your game has been glowing positive and is always happy with folks being honest, and Yoda, I guess, if you start getting reviews, some of them are going to be negative. I'm trying to think. So I have had a couple of reviews that said, "Oh, there's not enough to this game. That's it." And my issue with a reviewer, as speaking as a designer / self-publisher, has been with one particular review where, yes, it was for the L deck, and they played 1.5 of the games, And then the other 3 games, they still went and kind of gave an opinion of. And it felt like that was inappropriate, that you give the opinion just based on reading the rules. And that was the one review where I was like, okay, I'm not going to send them another game. Whereas everyone else, I'm going to, yeah, sure. Now I know that that game's not for you. It means that I'm not going to send you a light party game, but if I one day make, something that's got a bit more weight to it, I might send it to those people. And, talking about, we can talk about this afterwards. I don't want to put you on the spot, Antoinette. And maybe some of the games that you reviewed for me were like games that you weren't particularly keen about. And it feels like let's talk about bad game reviews, because that's what everyone's been talking about. And I do think that this is something we could talk about for an hour and a half. But for me, it's not just about having fun with it. For me, it's also about learning about the landscape of board gaming. As a designer, I want to understand why popular things are popular. Yes, some of them I am going to just say that it's due to inertia. I believe that the reason that chess is so popular today is basically because of inertia. I do not believe that chess would be so popular today if it were invented today, if you know what I mean. That's my belief. I believe the same of Monopoly and Risk. I believe that those are, games that have some level of quality, but then we also need to recognize the good that's in those games. I mean, Monopoly is I was about to say it's a great game in some regards, in that, Monopoly has escalating numbers. It's got an increasing sense of scale. It's got like a little bit of engine building, and like Ford, if you consider it was like 1917, what was it when it was designed? That's kind of crazy. And hopefully Anna will be back in a second. But what I'm saying, I want to be able to see a game that I actually despise and understand why other people enjoy it. I want to see, and I'm not going to name names now, because now I'm thinking in my head of games that have been invented within the past 20 years that have gone on to be popular that I personally dislike, but I want to understand why other people like it. As a designer, it's important for me to be able to design not only for myself, but also for other people, if I want to turn that into a profit-making thing. And that is for sure a thing. But if I get a copy of a game that I love, I'm still going to say negative things about it. Honestly, if someone watched my review of My City and then deleted maybe 10 minutes of it, bearing in mind this was like a review over 2 hours long, and if you deleted 10 minutes of it, you might come away thinking, oh wow, Bez really doesn't like this game, if this is the first review you've ever heard of me talking about it. And maybe I am quite negative, but I almost come from the point of view of what could games possibly be? At their best, what could games be? And maybe that's unfair, but I would like to compare games to the best that they can possibly be. And yeah, for sure there is a tangled web of relationships. Like if Gigamix were to send me a game that I wasn't particularly keen on, would I change what I'm saying? I don't know. And this is the problem where you start prioritizing things. So let's talk about our relationships, starting with DutchYoda a wee bit more, because we didn't really talk about our relationships. Like, how do we prioritize people that we're working with? How do we prioritize publishers? How do we prioritize our audience? I think we're all agreed that we have to be kind to ourselves, that we have to be the main priority. But what about the others?
Good one. Working with, with Budget Speler, we just have a bi-weekly meeting, and if there are review copies up, we discuss who wants to do them, and if multiple people wants to do them, then we're kind of divide it properly. So that's how we do it. So sometimes you see a great game and you don't get to review it, and that's how it works. You cannot review all the copies because I don't even have the time to do that. So sometimes I get even sent a copy, and then I'm surprised. It's like, why do I get to send a copy? And I have 2 games lying around that I have to review, and I hope to do that very soon, but I'm pretty busy. So yeah, that relationship with publishers, I don't have a direct relationship with publishers, with the exception of Portal games, because I do a lot of demoing. Well, not the past 1.5 years, but before that I did a lot of demoing. But it's mostly Anna and Jörn who run Budget Spelen, and they have the connections with the publishers. So they get the games. I think it's mostly Jörn who asks which games are coming. And yeah, that's about it, I think. There's also the personal relationship with people in the house that need to be quiet or something when I do streaming or reviewing. He's not here right now, so I have 1 week, and that I have all the time to do as many recording as possible. Well, I had it happen during a stream that my son was so loud, even though he was upstairs, that people could hear him.
Teenagers.
He was swearing at Fortnite, so so I told him to cool it down. So yeah, I try to. He's more important to me than doing reviews. So if he has trouble with school or anything, I will drop almost everything to help him out first, and I will reschedule the review if possible, if needed.
Yeah, I think that this balance is going to be difficult. And speaking of caring for yourself and your own personal time, Anna, I know that you've got to go in just a minute, so feel free to give us any final thoughts on this, or if you care for anything else that you want to before you skedaddle.
Yeah, I think in general, we're doing all of this because we love board games. And I love to show people how much fun they can have playing board games with your loved ones, and how you can create those moments together. So I think, that's my sort of closing thought for this discussion, that in the end, besides all of the personal reasons, it's just about, for me also, introducing as much people to the joy that board games can bring.
That's lovely. And so with that, us three will carry on for a few more minutes, but I hope you have a wonderful day, and congratulations again on finishing the internship, I guess is the appropriate way to say.
Yeah, kooschappen is what we call it in Dutch, yeah.
I'm not going to attempt that word.
Have a lot of fun, everyone, and have a perfect and a lovely day, all of the viewers. Bye-bye.
Bye. And Antoinette, we've chatted together about, prioritizing these people. We've talked about this for basically a couple of hours already. But if you would like to bring anything back from that conversation before we move on.
Let's see. I suppose about prioritizing things is, you're going to prioritize, what you're happy to play first. And also the people who might play it with you. I wouldn't pick up a game that I didn't think my husband would play with me. Now, to be fair, we've got very similar tastes in games, so that makes that incredibly easy. But when it comes to publishers and things like that, I don't really feel like I have any connections or anything like that. I do know, I suppose, a number of indie game designers and smaller groups who I've worked with before who will sometimes come back to me with their newest game about reviews and things. But I don't know, prioritize wise, I feel like if somebody sends me a game, the priority for me is to create a review that's fair and balanced and in my own style. I guess that's what they're expecting from me. But I don't worry that if I don't give them a good review, I won't get another game, because I'm not really doing this for the free games. It seems to just be a happy accident that happens as part of it. All of its own volition most of the time. So yeah, like I suppose it's the same as what everyone else says, isn't it? Prioritizing yourself, what you're able to get done. I don't know. The kind of company at the end part is as long as you make the review. I think that's the important part. You know, I think there's nothing ruder than accepting a review copy and not making a review. You know, that kind of thing. So yeah, I guess it's the same as what everyone else said.
I mean, there are some things ruder. I mean, if I were to walk up to you in the middle of a convention and just randomly slap your face, I think that's a bit ruder.
Possibly true.
I get you getting removed.
And yeah, Rob says, bye Anna, and it feels like a reality show with participants being voted off one by one. Oh, you know, we should do that at some point. Like, what that might feel mean. Like a quiz show, but with player elimination. But again, this is a really tangled web. And yeah, Idol Michael saying, yeah, people actively hate my games. And you know, you say that you don't have relationships, Antoinette, but you do. I mean, as soon as you start accepting things for review, there is a relationship that's forming there. And for goodness sake, you are working directly for Draven. Pilfering pandas and, you know, doing social media stuff for all that. And so, yes, it's not a big company. It's not like you're working for Asmodee, but you do have connections. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. Like, definitely, I suppose people that I've worked with before will keep in contact with me about things. The fact that I managed to become social media manager for Ren Games is purely accidental. I'm not sure why Janice thought that would be a good fit, but she did. So I'm trying that out. Like, I guess what I mean to say is, I suppose it's different knowing people online and having worked with them than it is like knowing people as people, I guess. And I'm really awkward. So it's hard to know where you stand with people sometimes when you're only sending messages back and forth. So you're right that there's definitely a relationship there. Definitely with most the companies who are mostly just people themselves making games they love. Like that, definitely I feel like I've got to know them. And we have a kind of a connection and stuff. But majority, majorly speaking, yes, I know people, I guess, but I don't know. I think the phrase like relationship or something like that implies that you could call them up and ask for something. And I don't feel like it's that level of friendship. Yeah, maybe this is just on my end because I'm quite reserved and a little anxious when it comes to people. I don't know if I'm saying the right thing or not. So I say less things. But yeah, like of course I know people and I know people making their games. And if they've got something that they want me to review and I think it's cool and fun, yeah, we'll do that. But yeah, maybe that is a relationship. Maybe I'm not thinking about this right.
I mean, I'm not thinking of a relationship as, you know, in one sense, you've got a monogamous life partner that you might be, okay, I'm choosing to spend the rest of my life with. On the other sense, okay, I've got a relationship with the cashier of the Sainsbury's that's across the road that, okay, we recognize each other on site. And one time I waved to them when they were outside the shop and they didn't really acknowledge me, but we've got that. I'm not saying it's I wouldn't even call it a rapport. That's probably pushing it too far. Like, I literally waved. I can't even remember if they they might have like just done a wee head kind of thing like that, if that. But it's more just we're aware of each other. We are humans. We have a relationship to other humans. We have a relationship to the world around us. And everyone that we are doing something with, it's not just we've got an indirect relationship with, you know, Isaac Newton or like, you know, scientists who have developed the world that we live in. It's not like we have an indirect relationship with, you know, people who've shaped the world. It's also a direct relationship with me. I've actually sent a message to you. I've seen the game that you've worked on or the game that you feel is worthy of my attention. Yeah, like, it's not an exclusive thing. I mean, I don't like those lyrics. It's suggesting that if you're a dancer, you're not human. And all humans can be dancers if they want. You can dance, but only if you want to. But I don't know. I feel like we should probably move on from this, because otherwise we'll just be whittering on and not saying very much. At the end of the day, the big question is, what is there something that you hope to say? Let's focus on the audience side of it, on what you've actually created. I am very much fast and loose. I make things, and then at the end, I might even play words on stream or play a digital game. And just, I've started doing that in the past month, where I didn't think I would be playing digital games, but hey ho, this is the way it's gone. And sometimes in this day and age, the line between Board Game Arena and, you know, Jackbox Party Pack and, you know, playing games on camera that you show bits of paper to each other, it's really fine. Do you know what I mean? And so with this blurry line, I kind of feel like it's an event. And I would like to think that personally, people who've watched have come away maybe with a bit of a smile, with a bit of a connection. Let's say connection, if you prefer that to a relationship, because chatting with other people, I believe that I've learned a bit about, you know, Ian Paravel, who was one of the people behind Board Game Arena, and having them on the show and saying, okay, not just what's Board Game Arena about, but who's this person about? Okay, Idol Michael, what kind of person are they? When we talk about giving up on games and abandoning games as a player, like stopping a game halfway through, when do you do that? And learning about each other as humans, and thinking more deeply about what makes board games games, I think. But ultimately, just having something of value. I don't think I yet have a strong audience thing in mind when I think about, yeah, who's the intended audience? What do we hope to say? What's about you, Yoda?
I'm in thinking like, if you want to watch my stuff, you can watch my stuff. If you don't like it, then don't watch it. That's my yeah. That's how I think. You muted me. Yeah.
Sorry, I clicked the wrong button.
Yeah, it can happen. Yeah. I'm just more like, yeah, I'm going to do this because I like to do it this way. And if you like it, you're welcome. If you don't like it, as long as you're respectful, you're still welcome. So yeah, I'm not targeting to an audience specifically, because for me, it's not really a marketing idea. It's like, I want to do this, and hopefully you get some value out of it. If not, too bad. I tried. Maybe next time. So yeah, that's my idea about how to connect with the audience. And I love it when there is an audience, and then I can talk with them while I'm playing a game, doing some miniature painting or whatever, which cannot be done when I'm having a review. I rarely look at the comments of my review.
I always look at the comments of anything I do. I look at all the board game comments or Board Game Geek comments of all the games I've worked on, and all the games I've designed. Let's say that. I mean, I will be curious about things that I've worked on as a developer, but I might not prioritize looking at them all. But yeah, it's kind of like a balance between, are you doing a review? Are you doing something tightly edited where it's focused? Or are you doing something where it's a conversation where, yeah, something where, Michael says, oh, that, Michael, yikes, in that sort of self-deprecating way. And then enjoying the conversation where we have this, back and forth going on, and thinking like, okay, yes, that is Rob and Michael having a bit of a banter. I enjoy that. And it's kind of happening in an environment that I created. And I think for me, like, it's about creating the safe environments. And maybe that's the difference between streaming and where it's, hey, come into this community, and even if I'm reviewing a game, you can chat about the game. And whilst I might be less likely to acknowledge every joke that's made while I'm focusing on a review, if someone has a question, I'm going to acknowledge it. I'm going to answer those questions. Whereas with there's a real-time aspect to that, and it's more of this is a safe space. This is a space to celebrate what games are and what games can be. But Antoinette, let's hear from you. Sorry.
I wish I could stream like you do, Beth. I would love to be able to be so relaxed and easy and chatty with people on the camera, because I think that's ideally what I would love to be able to do, is just sit down and actually just have a conversation with people and hang out and hear people's thoughts on things. Like, I love the idea of it being live like that. But I'm too stressed out to manage something like that. Be relaxed for like a whole hour just talking to people. So editing is my friend, and I make videos. Now, my kind of the people I guess I'm aiming my videos at, if I'm honest, I suppose, are people who already own games and who want to hear about games they've not played yet, or maybe games, that are coming out. Well, that's pretty rare. I don't do anything too fresh, I don't think, on my channel. But I remember when I started out first, kind of like DutchYoda said, was that, you watch the Dice Tower reviews, and I used to watch it up and sit down as well. They were the only things I knew about board games before I started. And the one thing I hated was they took so long to get to the bit where Tom would just tell you what he thought of the game. So he'd have his intro spiel, and then he'd throw all the components down on the table, and then he would like explain the game. He'd have it set up, and then he'd tell you Tom's thoughts. And I was like, I wish he would just get to Tom's thoughts. That was the thing. And I was like, why can't I make a review that's just that bit shorter, that just kind of condenses things, so that then if you watch the short video and you went, oh, that sounds cool, then you would go and watch Tom's longer video so you could learn more about it. I've always wanted my content to be a stepping stone to other people's content, because I don't feel like I cover a lot of the game, and like I cover over 5 topics. So, I'm not getting into everything, but I do my best. And so I guess the people who want to watch that, I don't know who they are. I designed because that's what I would like to have watched. How useful it is, I'm not entirely sure, but we're carrying on with it for the time being. So that's kind of my audience. Someone who wants a quick overview and then maybe wants to know more later, then go and find some, longer and more in-depth reviews than mine. That's what I try and do.
Honestly, I have a lot of, I'm really impressed by people who take the time to edit the videos, to put those kinds of things together. I've done it a wee bit for Kickstarter videos, and of course for that it kind of needs to be more tightly edited than maybe a review. But still, it's really impressive what people are doing with nicely edited, put together videos of all the graphics and everything. And I would love to see more people doing something like Jay from 3 Minute Board Games, and I don't know if you two saw the April Fool's joke where Jay reviewed 100 games in 3 minutes, and that was just brilliant. But Jay is so talented at actually getting across, this is what the game's about, this is my opinion, these are some bad things, these are some good things, all within the space of that 3 minutes. And that's super impressive. And Jay actually edits out the little pauses when you need to breathe, because if you listen to that, Jay's like never having to breathe. And by the way, we've got an invitation if you fancy coming on to Michael's quiz at some point in the future, Antoinette.
You just feel the clenching in my heart at this idea of going on another show. Thank you for the invitation, nonetheless. Though I'll see what my brain can manage.
So the question is that I would like to finish off with before we recap and wrap up is, what do you see in the future? Do you think you'll be continuing to do this for years to come, for decades to come? I mean, I've been in love with board games for so many years. So a video game loading screen is literally the first memory I've ever got. And I think that I will be doing some sort of media in some capacity, because if I'm designing, yes, there's a little bit of a bias and I need to be mentioned that if I ever review something from Gigamic, I will, in case people don't already know, that Gigamic is paying most of my yearly income right now, that, you know, I'm probably less likely to badmouth a game from Gigamic, because, you know, I care about them continuing to advertise it nicely, which they might, you know, humans are human. They might be less inclined to do if I really trash something that they made. So frankly, but yeah, there's going to always be that. But I think I've managed to navigate that successfully so far. And so if I can continue to navigate it, even if it's not necessarily reviews, if it's, okay, here's my top games or some sort of interviews with people, that's something that I imagine that I would, maybe not every day, but I imagine that I would be continuing to do with some sort of regularity in the future. Yoda.
Yeah, I'm not the youngest anymore, and I'm not sure how long I will be doing this. I just barely started. I just do it for 2.5 years now, and I've been streaming for like 4 months, 5 months now. As long as it's fun for me, I will keep doing it. I hope to bring in a younger audience, but I don't think I'm the right person for that, because I'm getting older and older and I don't speak to a younger audience. And if you want this board game community to grow, you need to start with a younger audience, I guess, because they will stay around a lot longer. But as long as it's fun, I will keep doing it. I'm not looking at how many views I get or anything. I just want to have fun and share my thoughts and experiences with games.
Antoinette?
Considering I this is something I never thought I'd end up doing. Actually, the idea of doing anything with media and video is so far out of my skill set that I'm amazed that this happens, or that I've been doing it for as long as I have. I don't know. I'd like to think I keep doing it. I do think, especially as a woman who does video, as you age and get older, there's all sorts of problems to come with that. But like I'd like to think I keep doing. I'd like to think I keep going. I do. This is all, you know, circumstantial and whatnot, but I kind of like what I do. Like, it's stressful, and it's fun too. And I really appreciate making something. There's something so fun about going, I made that. I'm sure you look back at your streams and you're like, that was my whole game, and you can see it all there. I did all those things and people watched it. Like, that's the best. That's the best feeling. So hopefully I will keep going for as long as people will let me, I suppose, or as long as people are interested. You know, until someone shuts me up, I'll keep talking.
I think it's such a valuable thing to have an audience. And a quick hello to Panic Games, who's just popped in time to see us finishing up. And hello, Runa, who says, Yoda's not what we call high energy, the sort of high energy that most of the 18-year-olds would respond to. But of course, you've got a lovely vibe, Yoda. And that's definitely a thing. I see some streams where it's got like the whistles, and I mean literal whistles. I mean literal bells and whistles, where the audience can push buttons or pay some channel points or pay some actual money, and then all these noises starts coming up to distract the host. And that's the whole gimmick, or things where it actually removes someone's beard. So like someone said, for 300 channel points, I'll shave my beard, see what happens. And so for 300 channel points, it's like a filter. So like even while they're moving around, it's like they don't have a beard anymore. it was amazing. It was like the best 300. And yeah, Panic Games is also all about the bells and whistles. And that's the thing, like, you can have these chaotic shenanigans, but sometimes that gets in the way of a nice discussion. Sometimes that gets in the way of a nice, gentle vibe. And at a certain point, you need to decide, what are you doing? And I think that this is a reasonable point to wrap up. This has been just such a lovely chat. Thank you very much to everyone who's been part of this. Of course, Yoda, Antoinette, Matt, and Anna. And of course, thank you to all the people who've been parts of the chat, everyone who's part of the chat now. Sorry, so Panic Games loves dancing, so apparently is not human. And yeah, like, it's just been lovely having you here for the random chats. And yes, I've seen all sorts of things where some people who are just chatting actually write things in like a felt tip on their body. And but like, yeah, sometimes it's like, okay, it's getting into objectification and it doesn't feel great. It's like, okay, are you a performing monkey? Is this just a gimmick, or do people care about something more nuanced? It's been a lovely chat. We've talked about Mintworks, about terrible basketball games, about starting off with written reviews, about Star Trek Flux, about difficulties with representation. Maybe there's insufficient Dutch people. Maybe there's insufficient women. And we can be the change that we want to see. And talking about what technology you need, we decided, yeah, we didn't actually talk about Audacity, but I meant to bring up Audacity, another free program if you are doing podcasts for editing that. And you can do it with your phone, at least to get started with all that stuff. Something we talked about mental health, we talked about learning to say no to things, we talked about relationships and what that actually means. We probably have to talk a little bit more about diversity in a future stream, because my plan is to get the 5 of us and anyone else who's working on board game media who's interested to join us every 4 weeks-ish. And in future, we might talk about diversity a bit more, about paid stuff, about curation and saying no. But in the end, I think that it's best said by Yoda, who said that you're doing it whilst it's fun. By Antoinette, who says, like, as long as people let you, as long as you've got the audience, because that is what it's all about. Yes, we are creating a thing, but it's not art for the sake of the craftwork of the art itself. It doesn't feel like. It feels like it's art as a form of communication. It's art as a form of, I'm saying my piece, I'm putting forward my opinion, I'm maybe doing some whizzy things with the video, I'm expressing myself through this, and yeah. But is there anything else that you feel like you have to get off your chest right now? Harper Rob says, what could be more nuanced than Monique's pink bear head? For those who don't know, Monique has a giant bear that Monique puts over on her head. And Rob says, do or do not, there is no try. Panic Games, also a very lovely streamer, actually. I don't know if anyone... Rob, can you try giving a shout-out to Panic Games and see if you can do it? And yeah, Runa, keep on doing the things you like. Do you have any final words, Yoda, Antoinette?
Play all the games. Doesn't matter what they are. Go play them all. Who cares if it's Monopoly or anything else? Go and enjoy yourself. Play a game. Yeah. Play what makes you happy. That's pretty much what we said all stream, actually, isn't it? Play the games that you like and have fun with, and then tell people how fun they are. Yeah, that's my message of the day. Enjoy the games.
I like that.
Yeah, I can only agree with that.
And a massive shout out, obviously, to all the people who've been here. And once more, thank you, everyone, not just my amazing guests, but also you, the brilliant audience. And when I say you, that sounds like you are not, but you are also in the you. Do you know what I mean? Let me get my finger so you can see. You know what I mean. But you're all wonderful. Everyone's been wonderful. And if people want to check folk out, then let's start with Antoinette. Where are you based? Antoinette.
Yes, that's a very large set of links. You can find me on Twitter at Board Game. I think it's BG Inquisition on Twitter. I'm on Board Game Inquisition as YouTube and Facebook as well. It's a pretty unusual name, so if you search for it, you'll probably find my website. So yeah, there you go. Look, there's a whole list of things that Bez very kindly has included. So thank you very much. And thanks for having me, Bez.
Well, it's been lovely. And now for budget spelling for Anna Wassenberg, if you want to check out things, then go and check out all the links from the lovely Anna and Matt Warwick, who was here at the start. Check out QB and QB on Instagram and Twitter, and of course the Offline Gamer, which Matt does with Ray. And Yoda, where do you most like to be found?
I'm mostly active on Instagram and on my Twitch channel. So those are my two most active social medias. I have more, but those are the most active ones that I use. And of course, like Anna, I'm also on the Budget Speler website.
It seems to be where all the cool Netherlanders are.
The best.
And if you want to check me out, then, you know, you kind of already are in some ways. But if you're like, hey, does Bez have a website? Does Bez have a place, a nice website where you could learn all about Bez's games? The answer, sadly, is no. But I do have a website, which is a mediocre, probably not as good website as I would like. You can check out print and play versions, which are very cheap for these troubling times. Twitter is here. Instagram, of course, Stuff by Bez. Twitch.tv is Stuff by Bez, and YouTube, you can see all the old episodes of everything. I'm streaming at 10 a.m. UK time for the next 54 days. And Discord, if you go there, you can learn about, chat about board game design. We can have a bit of a back and forth. We can share pictures of games we played and share all the positivity. And it's a lovely place. Runa says, actually, this is... Now, I want to ask, over to you, what are you up to? You can share anything you want to. So just before we finish, everyone who's watching, what are you doing? What are you excited to be doing? And Antoinette, Yoda, what are you going to be doing after this stream? Runa would most like to be found gardening and growing zucchinis, but unfortunately, Runa has no garden. So this is more of a wish than a reality, but maybe one day. And maybe you can enjoy some gardening on your balcony.
Just make sure you don't show your zucchini on stream, because Twitch doesn't like that.
And Scrappy Kid is excited as Scrappy Kid has just posted on Board Game Geek to get back into game proofreading, which Scrappy Kid used to do a while back. I mean, that sounds awesome of you, and I hope that you have lots of fun with it. I would say that there's also a Facebook group where every month there's a monthly rules exchange. If you want to be part of that, then I would send me a private we're not Facebook. Send me a private message on Twitter or Twitch or something, and I'll let you know that. Yoda, what are you up to?
Well, it's a beautiful day, so I think I'm going out for a little walk or maybe do some cycling. I'm not sure which of the two yet. And then I have to do some shopping, get some groceries, and later this evening I will do my Dutch stream. And I think I will do Red Rising solo because I had to cancel it last week because I was under the weather last week.
So despite the fact it is absolutely gorgeous outside, here it was when I last checked, I'm spending the day indoors playing war games. So yay!
Which game? Anything in particular?
Okay. So it's like a tabletop miniatures game. So if you're familiar with Warhammer, it's like that, but it's not. It's called War Machine.
I know it. I've played it.
You know War Machine? Yeah. I used to play it a long time ago and I quit, and we only got back into it in the past month or so because everyone's selling everything secondhand, so it's really cheap. So I'm back playing War Machine, and let's hope I win today.
Is War Machine being discontinued, or is it just because it's so old that people are selling stuff?
It used to be more popular. I think less people play it now. They're still making new things for it, but there's loads of people trying to get rid of all their old stuff secondhand. So I'm like, why not? Models are cheap. Now is the time to buy and remember how to paint my models and take them to victory, hopefully. So that's what I'm excited about.
And if you enjoy War Machine, there's also the one that's got pretty much exactly the same system called Hordes.
That's right. That's exactly it. That's the other half of War Machine, but it's all kind of beasts and stuff instead of robots. I have an army in that as well. So I have a number of armies now because models are so cheap. I couldn't say no.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, it's really, really fun. We've been having a lot of fun. It's nice to have a break from board games to do something slightly different, but not so different I wouldn't go back and play board games. So there you go. Now I roll dice and make terrible choices.
Where do you keep them, asks Alex.
Oh, where do I keep my army? Oh, God. At the moment, they're in cardboard boxes.
I think this is a question of, do you have space for all of these things? Is this going to be something that is going to just take over your house?
Well, I have a games room already that has board games very similar to Yoda's background there. But I have...
I just realized that this was a joke. Where do you keep them?
Up your sleeveys. Oh, yes, of course.
Okay.
So everything's in my game room somehow in boxes. I need to buy foam boxes to put everything away in. Next step. Trying to keep it all tidy, failing miserably. Oh no, actual joke alert.
Okay, and Michael is and Alex has actually deducted 50 points from himself, which they have the power to do. You don't need to deduct 50 points from yourself for that. Yeah, that just makes me laugh. I do not know the zucchini story of the Loserpalooza channel. Feel free to share it. Michael is doing a stream. If you check out, actually, where's my thing? Next streams, look at stuffbebes.com/streams, and that includes all my live appearances. Most of them are on this channel, but there have been 2 that have been on other people's channel. One was on Ross's, and one is on Idle Michael. So shouts out to Idle Michael if someone can do that for me. Do a shout out to Idle Michael. Go and check that out at 7 p.m. And there's the first episode. It might be the only episode, or if it goes well, then I'm sure Michael will want to do more of some crazy quiz with myself, Mzaya, Crystal Dax, and Ken, Demo Ken. And yeah, so apparently, Yoda, you need to tell a story about zucchini. Is it a quick story that we can share right now?
Yeah, it's not that long. It was somewhere last year that Ilka was very proud. Ilka grows some of her own vegetables, and she had a big yellow zucchini, and she brought it on stream to show off. It's like, see how big it is. And later Twitch said, well, you cannot show that thing. It's too phallic shaped and it has a double meaning. So you better not do it.
Wait, so did Twitch actually censor parts of the stream?
Yeah, I think Twitch censored the part, not during the stream, but afterwards on the VOD. I think it was censored, or even the VOD wasn't visible for a while, and they got a notice from Twitch as well.
That is ridiculous, some of the stuff that happens.
That's why I don't use my own name.
Yeah, it is. It's sad. Anyway, so yeah, check out Title Michael's thing tonight, and as always, I'm streaming every day for a month and a bit, for at 10 a.m. UK time. Tomorrow I'm reviewing a bunch of books before I leave this city. Monday I'm meeting the person who's becoming the new distributor for Hachette, which is a big French place, and Flavien Loisier is trying to become the new distributor for, and Hachette does own Gigamic, so there's a bit of a connection there, just talking about bias. But anyway, there's a whole mess. We'll talk about that on the day. On Tuesday, discussing integration of graphics and art into your board game design with Alan Paul, Rita Model, and Matthew Dunstan. You'll see all the things if you go to the streams. And Etan, Mind Sports Olympiad, check that out on Wednesday. That's probably the one that I'm most excited about, because we'll get to talk about why competition matters. What is the Mind Sports Olympiad? It's basically a bunch of people playing games together in a competition. But why? What does it matter? Who's it good for? And yeah, and yet Ross gets away with the phallic butternut squash. And so, yeah, that's the thing. Please, if this has been fun, if you are interested in new things, check out the calendar. We are going to have a raid, as always. I believe that someone is coming up to the end of their just over halfway through their 24-hour stream. If there's, yeah, there you go, Dfube. We will give them a raid. And
less than 8 hours.
And so, yep, they are celebrating their 1-year anniversary on Twitch. So please, if you're not already checking them out, you'll be greeted by a bunch of people playing games and inviting you in. For now, there's only one thing left to do, which is to say bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye, Antoinette. Bye-bye, Yoda. Bye-bye,
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Alex. Bye-bye, Rob.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Ooh.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. This is where I make it awkward for everyone for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
This is my not-so-secret plan. So you've got to put up for
Okay.
10 seconds for just saying bye-bye.
Oh, then I'm gonna do something. Bye-bye.
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 Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.